Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, we are from Fitzy and today
We're gonna do a campaign video about plant-based proteins. I'm Anisha.
I'm Yasmin Nabila.
I'm Dias Daniel. I'm Nako Lema.
I'm Zahia Daguna.
I'm Iwayat Grandi.
Watch this video until the end. Bye-bye.
Enjoy.
The background of this topic is protein is one of essential macronutrient for the body. Protein plays a major various in system of the body, such building and repairing tissue, support growth, serving a source of energy, producing enzyme and hormone, and much more. Generally, protein is obtained from animal product. However, the race concern about the potential harmful of consuming animal product that are high in saturated fat and cholesterol. Therefore, alternative source of protein with lower healthy risks are needed. Example, plant-based protein. The pros and cons about plant-based protein. First, I will explain about the pro. The pro of plant-based protein is one, plant-based protein have a health benefit. The second is accessibility. The next is environmental sustainability. The next is food innovation, and the last is support SDGs. Meanwhile, the cons about plant-based protein. The first is nutritional gap. The second is taste and texture acceptance. The next is high cost of produce or innovation. And the last is cultural and consumer preference.
On this slide, I will explain the benefits of plant-based protein. First, plant-based protein can help reduce cardiovascular disease risk. This is because plant protein is linked to lower LDL, non-HDL cholesterol, and apolipoprotein B, which are all important markers for heart health. Second, plant-based protein may decrease the risk of type 2 diabetes, replacing just 5% of energy from animals. Protein with plant protein can lower diabetes risk by up to 23%. Plant proteins also help reduce blood glucose and insulin levels after eating. Finally, plant-based protein may help lower cancer risk, especially colorectal cancer. This happens because plant protein replaces red meat, which is associated with cancer-causing compounds. Plant foods also provide fiber and bioactive compounds that support good health.
Okay, plant-based protein innovation is closely connected to several goals in the Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs. This innovation contributes to SDG 2, zero hunger by providing nutrition, sustainable and affordable food sources that help address hunger and malnutrition. It also supports SDG 3, good health and well-being, as plant-based protein consumption can reduce the risk of chronic diseases such as heart disease, diabetes, and obesity, making an important toward improving public health. In addition, plant-based protein innovation aligns with SDG 13 climate action, as shifting from animal protein and to plant protein can reduce greenhouse gas emission, lower water usage, and minimize land degradation. This benefit demonstrates that developing and consuming plant-based protein not only improve human health but also play a vital role in environmental sustainable and advancing global SDG targets.
Jadi saya dengan Kak siapa di sini?
Oke, kenalin ya, namaku Aziza Nurul Hidayah, biasa dipanggil dengan nama Ica.
Eh, untuk backgroundnya bisa dijelaskan Kak?
Oke, aku adalah lulusan sarjana gizi tahun 2025 kemarin, jadi termasuk di angkatan 2021.
Jadi kami punya beberapa pertanyaan nih Kak terkait plant-based meat proteins ini. Untuk pertanyaan yang pertama itu bagaimana sih nutrisi protein nabati pada umumnya seperti protein kedelai, kacang polong atau gandum dibandingkan dengan daging sapi asli, terutama asam amino esensial, zat besi dan vitamin B12.
Oke, kalau misalnya protein nabati seperti kedelai, kacang polong, gandum, itu memang mempunyai protein yang cukup tinggi ya. Kemudian kalau misalnya untuk profil asam aminonya, asam amino esensialnya itu, menurut aku sih kurang lengkap dibandingkan dengan daging sapi itu sendiri, terutama di zat methionine sama di lisinnya, Alicia, gitu. Karena kan kita tahu ya, zat besi pada nabati itu kan non-heme ya, jadi agak kesulitan untuk diserap ke badan atau tubuh kita seperti itu. Penyerapannya lebih rendah gitu.
Kalau begitu, tantangan utama apa sih Kak dalam membuat daging nabati yang memiliki nutrisi serupa atau lebih baik dari daging asli tanpa menambahkan terlalu banyak bahan tambahan?
Oke, yaitu ya tantangannya yang pertama keterbatasan asam amino esensial tadi, Lisha. Kemudian kedua, bagaimana kita bisa membuat daging nabati itu bisa berserat dan juicy ya, seperti daging sapi asli kayak gitu. Biar kenapa? Biar mudah untuk kita mungkin seperti teman-teman kalau misalnya mau makan tuh bisa enjoy gitu kalau misalnya makan produk itu kayak gitu.
Oke, jadi kalau dari sudut pandang kesehatan dan nutrisi nih, apakah ada risiko jangka panjang dari mengkonsumsi daging nabati dibandingkan dengan daging asli?
Oke, mungkin kalau dari kesehatan ya, resiko yang pertama yaitu natriumnya pasti cukup tinggi ya, karena kan pasti ada beberapa tambahan perasa atau zat aditif lainnya yang mungkin memang tidak sebanyak itu. Tapi mungkin ada resiko jangka panjang yaitu yang natrium tinggi, itu kan nggak baik ya untuk kesehatan tubuh kita. Kemudian yang kedua, dari kandungan lemaknya, ini kan biasanya terdapat dari dihasilkan dari minyak olahan yang kurang sehat ya, Lisha ya. Jadi mungkin agak kurang kalau misalnya dikonsumsi secara berlebihan seperti itu.
Baik, jadi seberapa besar sih pengaruh metode pengolahan seperti kayak ekstrusi, bahan pengikat, atau penambah rasa terhadap nutrisi dan keamanan pangan di daging nabati ini?
Oke, untuk ekstrusi sendiri itu memang bisa menurunkan tingkat proteinnya, Lisha. Tapi saya rasa masih cukup aman jika menggunakan metode itu. Kemudian untuk metode yang kedua, binder ya tadi ya. Untuk binder sendiri, kalau misalnya memang masih sesuai dengan batas ya, itu bisa aman gitu. Tapi kalau misalnya tidak sesuai dengan anjuran dari batasnya itu, bisa meningkatkan natrium dan mengubah profil gizi itu sendiri, Lisha, gitu. Dan yang terakhir ada, apa yang tadi terakhir, Lisha?
Terakhir itu penambah rasanya.
Oke, penambah rasa itu sendiri sama halnya dengan binder tadi. Kalau misalnya prosesnya itu tinggi, itu bisa dapat mengurangi beberapa vitamin yang sensitif dengan suhu panas, seperti itu.
Baik, kalau menurut Kak Aziza, bagaimana sih strategi terbaik agar tekstur, rasa, dan nutrisi daging nabati ini dapat diterima oleh konsumen Indonesia yang lebih menyukai rasa daging asli?
Oke, strategi terbaik yang saya rasa bisa dilakukan, yang pertama itu bisa memberikan rasa umami yang kuat ya. Jadi meskipun itu daging nabati, tapi kalau misalnya kita konsumsi produk tersebut, itu bisa terasa seperti daging asli kayak gitu. Terus bisa ditambahkan atau bisa diusahakan teksturnya itu berserat dan juicy. Kemudian juga bisa menggunakan bahan lokal ya, seperti tempe, kacang hijau, kedelai, agar lebih familiar di kalangan manusia awam atau kita sebagai yang konsumen awam ya kayak gitu. Takutnya kalau misalnya kita pakai bahan-bahan yang kurang familiar, itu malah daya terimanya makin rendah ya kayak gitu.
You can introduce yourself. Hello, my name is Vanessa Samali. I am from biotechnology 23. So the first question is, what is the nutrition of common plant-based protein like soy, beef, with protein control, especially in essential amino acid, iron, and vitamin B? Okay, first, plant protein is less complete than beef. Beef is highly digestible protein and have natural B12. Plant-based protein is have lower absorption iron and natural B12.
And therefore, we have some suggestions for the government and the universities. Some of those suggestions for the governments are: the first ones, we need to support research and development of plant-based proteins through funding and grants. Second one, we need to make clear regulations and standards of plant-based food products to ensure safety and quality. Lastly, we need to include plant-based protein in public nutrition programs such as school meals and community feeding programs. And some of the suggestions for the universities are: we need to conduct more research on local plant-based protein sources and nutritional value. Second, we need to develop new and affordable plant-based products suitable for the community and collaborate with industry and the governments to apply research results in real products. And lastly, we need to educate students and communities about the benefits of plant-based proteins for health and the environment.
For the industry and public society is the industry should invest in more developing affordable and appealing plant-based protein products, and the industry must support this with strong promotion to encourage people or the public society to more have knowledge about plant-based protein, and the society can be more interested in plant protein based products, and the society also have to learn in any website or anything to read like the base of the good terms of plant based protein to so that's all. Thank you.